Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. We've got another Seahawks video to get to today, but first, before we get into the football content, we just hit 2,070 subscribers to the YouTube channel. Shout out to all the subscribers, old and new, and of course, special tip of the cap goes to the, as of right now, 31 channel members, including elite channel members Y2KHA, Brandon Mikel, Rip, Scott Todd, Hasher for MVP, and VGK Tiger. Alright, it's Wednesday. We're going to go ahead with the Wagner Watch. And how is Bobby looking going into the final three games of the season? Well, we did get some good news against the Jets, actually. Bobby Wagner did score something that he has not scored in almost a full calendar year. However, other than that, I have to say, Bobby basically just went through the motions of playing football on Sunday. He played fine. He did his thing. He did well enough for us to win by 37 points. He was out of the game in the fourth quarter, I think. I don't know if he played at all in the fourth quarter. But other than the one really good thing that he did, which we'll be getting to shortly, it was kind of just a whatever game. And on a day like Sunday, it's not a bad time to have a whatever game. We're going to need special Bobby against a team like the Rams. And when we get to the playoffs, maybe the Bucks, maybe the Rams again, maybe the Saints, maybe the Packers. All right, let's go ahead and go through what he did on Sunday and what he's done this season so I can kind of explain what I mean when I say he had a whatever game. So tackles, he's now a little behind pace to get to 145 on the season. Again, this doesn't trouble me because when you're playing with Jamal Adams, there are just going to be fewer tackles to go around. That was one variable I didn't fully account for when I was thinking about Bobby this season. But he's probably going to actually end up closer to 130 to 135, which in this context I'm fine with as long as he's performing in other areas. Sacks, no new sacks for Bobby Wagner. He's still at 3, which is, again, about in line with what I expected from him in 2020. Missed tackles, he did not have any missed tackles against the Jets, which is good news. The bad news is it barely took his missed tackle rate below 9%, which it's nowhere close to what I wanted. It's one of the main reasons why I fear that Bobby may be entering another phase of his career, and one of the words that's going to describe him well during this phase is overpaid. 11 missed tackles for a guy like Bobby Wagner it's not okay. He's not doing enough other stuff to make up for it. All right, moving along, though, we get to solo tackles. He's got 67. He's on pace to get to probably around 80, which, again, a lot of it is because of the Jamal Adams effect. So it doesn't trouble me, but he is on pace to be a little below what I was expecting in 2020. Not a big deal, but something worth noting. QB pressures. He did score another QB pressure against the Jets, bringing his season total up to 12. So he's done very well in this area. I will say that. He's done better than he ever has, as far as I know, in terms of getting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. If he goes hog wild in these next 3 games, he may very well end up averaging 1 a game, which is really good for a middle linebacker who plays like Bobby, so credit where credit is due there. In this regard, Bobby is playing excellent football. Tackles for loss, did not score another one against the Jets. He's at 7 on the season, which is decent and workable. I was hoping for a little bit more. There's obviously still time in this season. We're going to be playing some teams coming up that are going to run the ball a healthy amount, so there will be opportunities for Bobby to score for some TFLs. But right now he's at 7, and I was hoping for a little bit more this year. All right, now we get to the good news in all this. Bobby finally was involved in taking the football away from the opposing team. He finally got involved in forcing a turnover, and we have been waiting for this moment all year. He finally did it. He recovered a fumble that was put on the ground by Frank Gore, and he has now been involved in 1 turnover in 2020. Now, is he going to get to my projection? Is he going to get to a passable number for 2020? Probably not. But there is a little bit of time left, so we'll have to see what he does in the next couple games. Obviously, when we're playing the Redskins and when we're playing the Rams, we're going to need some turnovers in order to be competitive in those games, I think, because of how good their defenses are. So if Bobby can come up with some big plays to take the ball away against those two teams, that would be really meaningful. The fumble against the Jets was mostly just to run up stats, but if he does it against Washington and LA, then we got something. No new passes defensed for Bobby against the Jets. We're going to get to his coverage in a moment here, and I'll explain why I think he didn't play a particularly special game against them. Real quick, before we get into that, however, run tackles, he picked up, I believe, 4 new run tackles against the New York Jets. He gave up some yards on them, though. One of them was for like 11 yards. One of them was 8 or 9. And his average tackle depth on his 67 run tackles so far this year is about 3.4, which is still really good. It's a lot better than it was in 2019, and it's a decent amount better than I was hoping for in 2020. So I can say this, Bobby has taken big steps forward as a run defender this year. So that's another feather in his cap when we decide what we're going to do with him in the offseason. All right, now we go to coverage stats. He was targeted 3 times against the Jets, so he's very close to meeting his 2020 projection for me, but not a big deal as long as he does well in other areas. He allowed all 3 passes to be completed against the Jets, I believe. He was targeted 3 times, and he gave up 3 completions. The completions don't bother me that much. Giving up 3 completions a game as a middle linebacker is pretty reasonable, and he's still on pace to more or less exactly meet my 2020 projection for him. So he's keeping his completion percentage allowed down. It's down at 63. That's very solid for a middle linebacker, honestly. I can work with that for sure. He gave up a lot of passing yards against the Jets, however. It is notable that on the completions that were credited to him in coverage, he gave up a healthy chunk of yards, over 50 in fact. So he got beat a couple times in coverage, and it's a little odd that it would come in a game where the defense actually plays very well. But we did give up a couple of big plays in the passing game, and a lot of them were on the shoulders of Bobby. Nevertheless, he's unlikely to break 400 passing yards allowed this weekend, so he's still well on pace to fall below the 500 that I was hoping he would be below in 2020. So all good here. He did not allow a passing touchdown, which should be obvious because the Jets didn't score a touchdown, period. His passer rating allowed this season is 86, which is just under the 90 that I was hoping for this year, so pretty good. Average depth of target is 6.8, a lot higher than I wanted, but when you take context into account, I believe this is fine. He's not giving up a lot of those big targets, so it works out well. Air yards allowed, he's at 167, so he did give up a handful of air yards in this game, 35, so there was quite a bit of stuff downfield against Bobby, but on the whole this season he's in line with my expectations. And yards after the catch, 205, well on pace to be below the 300 I wanted this year. He gave up 21 of those in coverage against the Jets, which is a pretty healthy amount, but overall this season still looking good. And his pass rush win rate is pretty much exactly what it was in what I wanted it to be in 2020, rather. 14.1, I wanted 14. It was almost 15 in 2018, so it's in line with that. And that's pretty much going to do it. So the tail of the tape on Bobby Wagner against the Jets tells me that he was forgettable in run defense, but fine. He was not great in coverage, but it didn't amount to anything. The turnover was nice, but I'm still kind of looking at the same player that I was last week. He's still good, still effective, but there are some troubling signs here, and we're going to have a tough conversation in the offseason. Streams tonight, probably streaming a lot of Viscera, and if you guys want to watch that, definitely come out and check it out, but if you can't make it, then I understand, so be it. Yeah, peace out, go Hawks, see you guys tonight in stream, hopefully.